Hello, welcome to Piano Lesson with Richard Yang. Today is the very first of a series of sight reading videos that I'm gonna do for you guys. The purpose is to transfer my knowledge on how I sight read and to you, right? And with that, we must talk about why sight reading. Okay, to me personally, I believe that sight reading is one of the most important skills to have. You can equate sight reading, or you can, an analogy is reading. When you read a book, let's say you don't have a good vocabulary, you don't know the words, and you have to, spell things out and see, hey, what is that word? You look it up. Oh, that's what that means. If you try to do that, there is no way you can actually read a book, let alone enjoy it, right? This is the same for piano. If you spend so much time trying to, figure out what note that is and, where's that on the keyboard, you're not enjoying piano. For one, you're probably learning, and second, you're probably struggling, for sure, you're not enjoying, right? So if you're able to sight read well, you can actually, learn a piece in a much shorter time so that you can actually enjoy playing piano. That's why it is so important, okay? For these lessons, first of all, I'm gonna state the obvious. For sight reading, the purpose is not to be able to name the note on the key. That is not how I do sight reading, because for me, it's purely a visual thing. The goal is to be able to directly translate from what you see to where what your hand shape should be and where. And that is the goal, okay? And a lot of you might say that, hey, I don't even know how to read music. No, that's fine. However, it is important that you do eventually pick up a few starting points that you can figure out. For example, if you look at the first measure, first note, the 5-line staff right below that, we have a line that is our middle C. And if you ever learn piano, you learn this on day one, that this is middle C. So on the music, it's just the first line below the staff lines. And for the bass clef, it is the line above the top staff line. So you can see that on the first measure, second note on the left hand, that top note, that's a C. So if you compare that with the right hand, you know where that's coming from. Now, and you might find that, hey, how do we, this treble clef, bass clef, first of all, it's not that bad, because this middle C is really how this thing is driven. Everything goes down symmetrically, kind of, right? And let's do an experiment. If you have trouble reading this, turn the music clockwise 90 degrees. Suddenly, everything makes sense. So first of all, I'm gonna play the first measure. So for you, turn the music sideways, clockwise 90 degrees, and I'm gonna play this. See? Did you notice something? Because this, if you turn the music sideways, it perfectly matches where your hands should be, where the notes are, right? Because it's almost like, this is a visual cue. And I think this is the first important realization, is that reading music is really not that bad. Because if you, like you just saw, if you turn the music sideways 90 degrees, that's where notes are, wherever you are. That's the idea. But of course, when I sight read, I don't think that way, right? I think horizontal. Okay. So the first practice, the first measure, it is to get you to understand the degree of separation, on the third, fifth, and seventh. Okay. So it's very important to know from line to line is a third apart. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And so line to line is a third, space to space, third as well. So line to line, space to space, they're all third, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And the next note, because they look exactly the same as before, 4 notes, each on its own line. So it's the same thing, but you just move up a little bit. Move up by one key, right? Same thing with the left hand, right? So, but you don't. I'm probably skipping a little bit ahead. But the important thing is to be able to really visualize what you're looking at. What you're looking at is on a line, on a line, on a line, on a line, or on a space. And because on a line, between each line is a third apart. On a space, third apart. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And this is the exercise. So you want to be able to, and also keep that hand shape locked. And I'm going to use this term a lot, the hand shape, because for me, when I sight read music, what happens is that when I see those notes, it directly translates to the shape of my hand that it should take in order to play that. For example, now you know the first chord is this. So ignore my fourth finger. That is your degree of separation. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See, right? And as long as you keep your hand shape locked in, wherever you go, it's you're playing, that chord, 7. So first of all, I'm not talking about like major 7, minor 7, major 3rd, minor 3rd, just the degree of separation. That's what I'm focused on right now. So don't worry about major. This is a major 7th, but I'm just gonna call it 7th. So it's all visual. Now, if you go to the second measure, see, this is slightly more practical now, because if you look at the first note, first set is this. So by comparison to the very first note in first measure, it's the same thing, except you're missing one note here, right? So what you're looking at is from this is middle C is where you start. So the next line is a third oct, right? So that's third. And what about from this to that? So if you look at these, we have 2 lines, right? So the first line, second line, because they are 3 apart, right? So that's how you know, oh, I have this and I have this. And together, it becomes this, right? It seems really trivial when I talk about it this way, but it is all in the way you think. If you're able to think this way, and you'll do well. And so from this, what I want you to exercise is, when you look at this, C and E, they are, on the 2 lines, recognize that as a third. Now, the second exercise is from this to that. So realize that you have 2 lines, one line in the middle, right? So the first line is this, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3 again, that gets you to that note. So from here to here, look at that. You should know that it's, now you know it's a 5th, and you want to be able to, match what you play to what you're looking at, right? So essentially, you're playing the same as the first measure, but a note is missing. Next one as well. You're playing the same thing as the second note in the first measure, but you're missing the second note. So this is what you're playing. Now, again, you want to be able to know that, associate what you're looking at. D, A, C. I'm calling them out. You don't need to name the notes, but you need to look at this visually and be able to match that to a hand shape. So ignore my finger number 2 and 4. These 3 fingers in that particular spacing, this is my hand shape to play that chord. Right? The next one, again, because everything is on the line, so they're third apart, so everything is in odd. It is in odd number. So first line is 3, 5, 7. If you go more, 9, 11, 13. Every time you go up, it's they're all odd numbers. Now, if the degree of separation is even, that means you have 1, 2, 1, 4, 1, 6, 1, 8, which is octave, right? So that happens when you go from a space to a line, or line to a space. Regardless of how many spaces or lines are in between, the numbers will be even numbers, right? So the one of the most important thing is to be able to feel it. For example, 1, 2, 3. Now you know this is a third. You want to be able to play this with any fingering combination. 1, 3. So know that this 1, 3 in this separation, that's a third. Or 3, 5. Wherever you are, as long as you keep the 3, 5 this far, you're playing thirds. Now, what about fifth? Fifth is pretty natural, right? So for example, you start with the middle C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth. So keep that hand shape. Wherever you go, it's a fifth, right? And so there are two components to this. One is your hand shape, and one is what it looks like on the sheet. So if you see from E to B, for example, visually look at it, and you need to be able to tell that it's a fifth. You don't need to call it out, because calling out is for training purpose only. What happens in the end is that when you look at that shape, it should directly translate to a hand shape that's fifth. And now in this case, let's say I'm looking at only at these two notes. I have a C down below. How do I figure that out? I have this, and from E, the C is just another line. So each line is third, right? So 1, 2, 3. So that's where I should be, right? And so for the third note in measure 2, that's seventh. Why? Because they're all on the line, so the degree of separation would be all odd numbers, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7. 1, 3, 5, 7. And I don't have the middle two notes, so it's just 1, 7. So this is a degree of separation for seventh, and the next one for fifth. So right now, you don't even need to name the notes. What I want you to exercise on is, look at the sheet music and be able to know that it's a fifth by looking at it. And so I'm gonna jump ahead to measure 6. So those, look at that. Note that these are all thirds, and you want to be able to play with any finger combination. 3, 5, for example. 1, 2, for example. 2, 4, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you know when you have two fingers open up a certain distance, that will get you a third. Now, measure 7 is fourth, right? So because we're going from a line to space, or space to a line, whenever that happens, space to line or line to space, then the degree of separation will be all even numbers. So 4. If you look ahead to measure 9, that's sixth, right? And if you look at that, that's an octave, right? So degree of separation is everything. Now for fourth, again, be able to play this with any fingering combination. 1, 2, for example. 1, 3. 1, 4. 2, 4. 2, 5. Or So in any case, you want to be able to feel it. Look at this. If you look at this, you need to be able to tell that it's 4 without thinking. Right? That's the goal. And you need to have a hand shape, which take out whatever two fingers and you open it up to a degree of separation to play fourth. And that's where practicing comes in, because when you practice enough, then you will know without looking at the keyboard. You open up your hand, you can either get into a position of fifth, fourth, third, in any combination. Measure 7, fifth. So look at this and know that these are one line, and they're all on line. So 1, 3, 5, right? Next one, sixth. Again, so line to space or space to line. So the separation would be in even numbers. So in this case, that's 6. So when you open up your hand, well, not open way up, but you need to open up to play a 6 and be able to remember that opening size. That's how you play 6. And you might want to try out a few fingerings for this. 1, 5 is the most natural. You might do 1, 4 or even 1, 3, right? But for the time being, just 1, 5 would do, because, or 1, 3, 1, 4 to play different notes. Like use 1, 3 for thirds, 1, 4 for fourth, 1, 5 for fifth, and everything beyond that. Okay, for the purpose of practicing. But for now, just know how wide you need to open when you look at the sheet. So so for this lesson, the practice is to look at measure 6 and know that when notes are arranged this way, these are thirds. Look at measure 7, these are fourth, 8 for fifth, 9 for, when things are in sixth, right? So be able to look at the notes and tell whether or not it's sixth, fifth, fourth, third, and that is for this lesson. And so beyond that, after this, obviously, I'm gonna come back to this in the next session, and we will progressively go more and more, and until and really soon, we're going to pick out some music in the key of C to do an actual sight reading, utilizing what you're learning through these. Okay, so hopefully do some homework, and next week we'll go a little further. All right, until next time, goodbye.